Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Game Industry Legends interview series. My name is Chris Melissinos, and I'm the principal evangelist for video games here at AWS. And on this episode, I sit down with Gerard Williams, better known in the industry as the HipHopGamer, to discuss his impactful career in the industry. Labeled as the GOAT of the game, Gerard HipHopGamer Williams was born and raised in East New York, Brooklyn, started gaming at the age of 4 years old. His grandmother, Margaret Williams, was a hardcore gamer herself and taught Gerard how to play at the age of 4, and it's been his passion ever since. Gaming was a major hobby that also kept Gerard off the streets to avoid getting into trouble. But that hobby actually turned into a career that gave birth to the name HipHopGamer. HipHopGamer is also a hip-hop artist making songs for video games such as Street Fighter 6, Watch Dogs 2, Twisted Metal, Destiny, Halo, Uncharted, and Mafia, and he has appeared as a character in different video games such as Watch Dogs 2, NBA 2K Playgrounds 1 and 2, and the upcoming title, The Wrestling Code. Now, there's so much to the story of the HipHopGamer, and we're going to dig in deep and discover all of it. It is my pleasure to welcome to the Game Industry Legends interview series, Gerard Williams, the HipHopGamer.
Yeah! You already know what it is, baby. Yo, Chris. First of all, such an incredible introduction. That's one. 2, to be labeled as a game industry legend is a dream come true. 3, just to be in your presence. You know what I'm saying? I saw you, you know what I mean? I saw you at DICE, and I'm gonna tell you right now, just seeing you it brings such joy that I've never stopped with what I was doing, a gift that my grandmother, gave me, and I'm able to share that with the world. But being able to meet someone like you, it doesn't only make it worth it, bro, but it lets me know that I had so much more purpose, worth, and value that I didn't even know I had. So thank you for real, bro, for sharing your heart and your spirit and your gifts with me, because it thrives me. It allows me to continue to grow. So I love you. You're my brother, bro.
Love you too,
I love
man.
you, man. Thank you so much, man.
Likewise. And we have so much to unpack. I feel the same way about you. When I saw you there with some folks and listening to some music, and I walked up, it was just like no time had passed, right, since we last saw each other. And that's how you know long-term friendships really last, right, is when you can have that. But all right, we have a ton of stuff to get into today, and I know that it's going to be hard-pressed to keep it to the hour that I've got here. So tell us where you are right now. Are you there in the studio, it seems?
Yeah, so I'm actually at my crib, but I got my step and repeat behind me and stuff like that. So, but I'm at my crib right now, because let me tell you what I just finished doing. So the TV show Godfather of Harlem, I just had the whole cast on the show. So like my man Rome, who plays Frank Lucas, you know what I'm saying, in the show, I just had him on and stuff like that. And soon, Lord willing, I'll be able to get the one and only Forrest Whitaker. So I'm working on having him on the show as well. But yeah, man, I just had the whole cast, just wrap that up, because I was like, yo, I got to get to my brother Chris. So we here now, you know what I mean? But yeah, I'm here in the crib.
Well, thank you so much. All right, so you're there. You had that whole cast on there. And you mentioned that we saw each other at DICE. How was DICE for you this year? And for those that don't know, DICE is kind of like, it's a smaller kind of executive-focused conference for the industry, and they also do their DICE Awards, right, which is basically the Academy kind of awards, but for the games industry. So how was DICE for you this year?
Yo, DICE was incredible. What? Yo, first of all, like one thing about me, and I just want to like tell this to the audience, wherever I go, I make the best of it. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's never like my enjoyment is never dependent on how things is going. When I show up, everything is fire. You know what I mean? I love to have that energy. But it was incredible, man. Meeting up with Corey Barlog, getting a chance to have a great conversation with Mark Cerny. That was incredible. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna front, man. Like seeing Ted Price and him getting his award, yo, oh my gosh. Yo, I wanted to cry too. His family was there.
Yeah.
Like Ted Price is one of the ones, man, that really moved the needle in the industry. So it was just great to be around that energy. It was great to be around that love. It was great to build new business relationships and be able to be helpful for other people too. So I'm a servant, bro. So however I can serve and be valuable to somebody else, I get blessed in return. So Dice was incredible to me, man.
Yeah, and I feel the same way about, listen, one of the reasons we started this series, right, is because I always believed, like, if I can get my heroes in front of other people who are inspired by them, that's the job, right? That's what you do, because it's not about the one-to-one relationships. It's about you help other people to grow, to be better, to reach out, to find more connection in the world, right? And we talk about guys like Ted Price, one of the kindest, just true leaders, not just in the games industry, but in any industry that I've experienced, right? He really taught how to lead by example. He's really a person-first type of leader. And it was just extraordinary to not only see him get that award, but to exit the industry, right, on such a high note. And with real value and really understanding where he wants to place his time. Nothing but love for him too, and couldn't have been happier for him, and his family. So just really, really
absolutely, man. I'm with you 100%. The words that Ryan Schneider had shared on that stage about him was incredible. And then also, man, me personally, playing all his video games, I got a chance to share these experiences with my grandma. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So it's like, man,
amazing.
It just comes around full circle.
Amazing. All right. And that's where we're going to go ahead and jump into the man who would become the legendary hip hop gamer. We're going to go all the way back, and we're going to talk about growing up in New York. As you and I discussed, I grew up in Flushing, Queens, right, in the 70s and 80s, when not only video games were emerging, but hip hop was emerging, right?
Yes.
So very, I feel lucky to have grown up in that era, right, in that space. You grew up in Brooklyn. Tell me, what was it like growing up there?
All right, so the area that I was in Brooklyn, East New York, I ain't gonna front, it was real rough, bro. And the reason why is because I grew up in the 80s. I was born in 1982. So I, growing up in the 80s and the 90s in this area, in this area. Now, we did have our good times. Don't get, like, we had fun. We had our good times. Right. We had each other. We had family. We had moments, whether it's TV shows, Saturday morning cartoons, like, we had fun. Going to church, doing this. Like, we done so many great activities. Don't get me wrong, but it was rough. Yeah, I give you a great example, man. Like, there was times where you walking down the block and there's nothing but crack valves, like, on the corner, and then, like, a lot of times, you get in a beef with somebody, they'll rob you. They'll come to your house. Like, my house got shot up before. Like it's crazy to live through these things. You know what I'm saying? Yep. So even though it was very dark, that goes into another reason why my grandma's, like, gave me video games. You know what I'm saying? Because it was very easy to just get caught up. And there's a lot of people that I went to elementary school with that died, like, that they ain't with us no more. Yeah. So people that I grew up with, a lot of us ain't left. You know what I'm saying? So when you really look at it from that perspective, you always felt like you was in survival mode. And the times that you did get a chance to really have fun, it was like, thank God that we got a chance to even have it.
And that was,
you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, so, and that was the escape, right?
Yes.
And I've often talked about this, for kids growing up with video games. One of the things that video games can give them is a sense of empowerment, right? Is that if they can learn, especially, my growing up, learning to program, games, like, I've got magazines here in my office. Actually, shoot, I got this one all the way from 1982 sitting right here next to me, right? And the thing I should have mentioned before is I'd asked you what some of your favorite video game magazines are. Being in game history and collection stuff, I collect all these. So when I come up to New York, I'm going to bring you a picked collection of some of your favorite magazines from that era. So you have a little bit of your childhood back in your hands, right, that you can dig back into. I mean, shoot, these Electronic Gaming Monthlies, these things are like 400 pages long.
Come on, man. Oh, my gosh.
But anyway, so yeah, growing up now, Flushing at the time was, I can't say that, my home was ever shut up, but, there were rough edges all the way around. So as a kid, you're always trying to find some light, a safe place to be. And video games for me were that as well, right? Because it let me control what I programmed into this computer. Or if I learned how to speak its language, then I could communicate with it, and I could take the art and the stories and stuff that I had in my head and share them with friends, right? That was like an incredibly powerful thing to have happen. And then, of course, the small communities that you build around you, the family that you play with, the friends you play with. Now, you said your grandmother, Margaret Williams, was a huge influence on you getting interested in video games. So tell us about your grandmother. Like, what did she play? How did she encourage you?
Yo, let me tell you how ill my grandma's was, dog. So one, the first system I ever had was Atari 2600. The first video game I ever played was Pac-Man. And my grandmother, what she did that was so ill is she plays the games all the time. And then when she started showing me, you know, the joystick, one button, how to do this, I had no idea I was learning and understanding like coordination. Like she was teaching me coordination so I could get better at the game and knowing when to move and when to do this. It was insane. Then I'm learning strategy, when to get the pellet, when to do this. Oh my gosh, it was crazy. But then my grandmother, I got a chance to see another side of her. So my grandmother, her favorite character of all time is Lara Croft. So she loved all the Tomb Raiders. Secondly, Q-Bert, Donkey Kong Country, Bubsby, like all these other games my grandmother played. Mortal Kombat, Grand Theft Auto, Street Fighter. Like my grandmother played all these games. So I didn't just play games. I started getting involved in the actual culture of video games because my grandmother was an artist. She drew. She actually did music. She sang. She played the piano. She played the guitar. So my grandmother had all these other talents, and all these other talents related to what you saw in video games. Yeah. Games like Comic Zone and all this other stuff. My grandmother embodied all of that. So now me and my grandmother's relationship started to really build more over games because of all the conversations and stuff like that. Yo, true story. You know the Prima strategy guides that we used to buy? Yo, bro. My grandmother would discover things in video games that you didn't see or find in the Prima strategy guide. So she started writing her own strategy guides as she played through games. I still got the documents that she created in a file. You know, obviously when she passed away, I'm holding on to these. But dog, that's how like we really built it up. And I played everything. It was literally my escape. And I also learned how to read better and comprehend better because of the stories like Final Fantasy VII and stuff like that back in the 90s. So my grandmother is my everything, bro, when it came to games. So that's why whenever I see you or see people, I want them to feel just a little bit of what my grandmother's energy was like through me. And man, powerful,
I would have definitely read Grandma Williams' guides for sure, right? I mean, because it's obviously she had a love for these games, and what that did for you, right, was it cemented these incredible memories, these incredible experiences. And with her being an artist and a musician, like you had no choice but to walk the path that you walked, right?
HipHopGamer, like it's yo, bro. Like what's so funny is, so I'm gonna share something with you, bro. So I used to struggle with this. I used to struggle with this a lot. So my mother, right, my biological mother, you know, at that point in time, I never knew my mother, never met her, nothing. So going to school early on, elementary and going into junior high, I used to always feel like I was nothing because I felt like if my own mother didn't want me, then how can anybody really love me? So I kind of like took that with me a long time in my, you know, early life, right? And my grandmother, that's my grandmother. Not my mother, but my grandmother. But then as I got older, I was like, my grandmother took on the role and made a lot of sacrifices in her life just so I could have something. And then once I realized that, I was like, wow, my grandmother is doing her best to serve in a situation she didn't even have to. Right. So it opened up a different level of care and love that I didn't even know I even had. So I actually started to love myself and care about myself because I understood what my grandmother did for me. You know what I'm saying? So over time, because of that, I applied that to the gaming industry. So when I got into the gaming industry from a professional standpoint, this is like 2008 when I went to E3 for the first time. That's what I wanted to give back to the industry. like, because I started to see that people was getting jaded, and like everybody started talking so much more about money versus just the joy and the love of it. I understand we got bottom lines to hit, but we still don't lose the passion in the process.
It's still art. It's still art.
Yeah, so one of the things that I wanted to give back to the industry, and why I'm so appreciative of being on this stage and platform right now, because I believe that the very element that made me legendary in this industry is the fact that I didn't forget why I loved the industry. I never forgot why I care about it so much, and the people that continue to create and make. So when I tell you I love you, bro, it's not only just because it sounds nice. You play a role in my life. So to be able to know you and meet you and share this with, the audience and stuff like that, never give up what helped you get up.
100% agree. Again, and we're gonna go back to your history, because that's what the conversation is. But the couple things I always try to walk with, right, which is, number one, everybody's got a story that they're not telling you, so be careful with each other. Like, we're human beings, right? So number two, listen to the words, listen to what people are saying, not just the words that they're using, right? Because there's something underneath, right? That's the second one. And the third thing is, you know what? Being miserable or being happy is a choice. Like, you can choose what you want to be out in the world. You can see what you want reflected back. For me, and my colleagues here at AWS will tell you, there is no lack of passion whenever I talk about video games, because it was the most transformative art form in my life that fostered a love of computer science and programming and storytelling and art that I've carried through my entire life. And it kind of fed into everything else that I did, from music to, performing and all this kind of stuff, right? So we are completely in sync. But all right, so I'm going to pull back from that. And so we're going to talk a little, I want to talk a little bit before we move on, like, in your childhood, like, what was the community like playing video games? Did you have friends you played with? Were arcades or some machines out there still kind of a thing, as you were growing up? Or was it mostly, Street Fighter 2 and, ticket games and that kind of stuff? Like, what was the community around you that played games?
Bro, it was the best, bro. It was the best. Bro, I used to go to some of the corner stores in the hood, and they would have the arcades in the back of the store, right? So we would play Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, we would play Centipede and stuff like that. Across the street from my house was a laundromat. In the laundromat, we had Miss Pac-Man. Bro, we had Golden Axe. Bro, I remember playing Virtua Fighter and Tekken, WrestleFest. This was our social media. Literally going out, meeting people, making friends, putting your quarters, on the joint. Yo, dog, it was the best, man. And what I loved so much about the community is, even when we went out and played in the arcades and had fun, when the games started coming to the home console, like, for example, when Super Nintendo was there and Sega Genesis, and we got Street Fighter Championship Edition and like Street Fighter 2 The World Warrior, the first time it came to the home console, bro, let me tell you, video games helped me do better in school. I'm gonna tell you why. Because, like, if I got on punishment, like, my pops would take away the video game. Bro, taking away the video game from me,
it was like cutting off a limb.
Yo, Chris, it was like somebody did open heart surgery without putting me to sleep. Like they took it out, and I saw my heart beating like Kano. Like it was bad. So I was like, I would never be bad in school again. Like it was real. So when I got this stuff at home, NBA Jam, going from the arcade to home and putting in the codes to play as Will Smith and play as Bill Clinton, like all this other stuff, bro, it was the best times. And I'm gonna tell you one reason why. We was able to truly enjoy the games and enjoy each other,
right,
without having so many people talk about, oh, well, I don't like this polygon or this, like, before things got so contaminated,
right,
and before things got so followers and business but before all that stuff came into play, we was just able to enjoy it freely,
right?
And that is the moment that you can't replace, man. So
Agreed.
yes, we had a great time coming up back in the day, bro.
Yeah, it was the same. It was the same for me, growing up there, right? It was not just about the games, with the people you were with, the people you played.
Yes.
Back when I did the Art of Video Games exhibition, it traveled the country to 10 museums over 3 years. It went back up to the Hudson River Museum in New York, and which is right close, right to where my neighborhood was. And so I went up there to do like an opening lecture and book signing and all that other stuff. And there was a couple that showed up there, an older couple. They were the parents of these girls that I grew up with in Flushing. And they had we had an Atari at home, but they had a ColecoVision at home. So not only, was I going over to hang out with these friends, cute girls and everything, but there were times, and this is what, their father said to me, he goes, there were times I would come home from work and the girls wouldn't even be home, but you would be sitting in our den playing ColecoVision. And I'm like, yes, like you are part of my story, right? Like you're part of the career that I built, right? And so it was this, this community of new technology and competition, but also, friendship and brotherhood, right? That existed through all of that stuff. It still exists to this day. Of course, it's what the vast majority of games communities are. But yeah, like you pointed out, the internet's given everybody a voice, and some use it in not the most positive ways. You have to understand, really what people are saying. But all right, growing up, yes, we mirrored the same things. Video games were such an important formative technology and art form that allowed kids like us back then to really focus on something positive and something that we could become good at. And I love the fact that your grandmother that brought you into this, then you had those special moments with her. Now we got to figure out how to go ahead and get Grandma Williams guides printed, right, and turned into this is how you do it, right? Type of thing. But all right, I'm going to move us along a little bit because we got a lot left to cover and not a lot of time to do it. Gaming and hip hop. So as you and I have discussed before, video game development, for me, especially, right, indie games, it feels a lot like early rap hip hop scene, right? Like there was no prescribed way you needed to be, originality and authenticity is the key. Tell me how you got started rapping and making music and how your monitor, Jackal Flares, morphed into Jackal.
Yeah, so let me tell you how crazy this was, bro. So growing up, love hip hop, KRS-One, Big Daddy Kane, Met the Man, Redman, Biggie Smalls, Jay-Z, Nas, like I'm influenced by all of these artists, right? So what happened is my brother, my cousin, they started a rap group, right? Now, initially it was called HLC. It stood for Hard Living Criminals, right? They was performing and doing all these other things, and I'm inspired by it. I don't front. I'm like, yo, like this joint is fire. So watching my brother and my cousins like rap, like it made me want to rap. I was always a fan of hip hop and the culture, and I had my favorites, but what made me want to do it was seeing them do it and seeing the reactions that they was getting from a lot of people as well. Right. And coming from where we come from, like that made us feel like we mattered, just seeing people react to us in such a way. You know what I'm saying? So I started writing, and my brother gave me the name Jackal Flares because he says I was like a wild dog and stuff like that. Like wild, cause I'm wild. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, my energy crazy.
Oh, I do.
But back then, growing up in East New York, my energy was wild, but it wasn't always used in the right way. You know what I'm saying? I'll just say it like that. It wasn't always used in the right way. I wasn't always properly like guided. You got positive influences and you got negative influences. I had a lot of negative influences too. Like, just to be honest with you, at a point in time. So that's when the name Jackal Flares came out. So gangster rap, all the hardcore stuff and everything like that. But things started to change. So we did a performance at my junior high school, IS 292, right?
I was IS 25 out there in Bayside.
Oh, word? Yep. IS 20, all right, cool. But yeah, we got the IS going together.
IS, so. PS, people are like, PS, public school.
Yeah,
public school 107, Adrian Block, Thomas A. Dooley. Like,
wow.
People don't get
God.
it.
Yeah, that's so IS 292, we had a showcase there, right? So we did a showcase, and a lot of people in the hood didn't know that I rap yet. So this was like people finding out that I could rap. So I did my rap, you know what I'm saying? I don't even really remember it like that. But I said something like shaking the battle, getting ready for battle, coming through with the saddle, clock 9 in the cattle. Like, son, I was saying something like that. It was dope though at the time. So I did that, right? And everybody was going crazy to the point where they wanted to give us a record deal. Like, it was crazy. Like, life was about to change.
Right.
And then God stepped in. And this is how you know, no matter what you do, when you are on a path, and when God show up, you know God did it, because it came in such a way where it's like, how did this happen? Like, it's crazy. So what happened is my brother and my cousins, we had a meeting, right? And with MC Shan. Yeah, the legend, MC Shan. I had a meeting with MC Shan, bro. And he wanted to sign us as a group, right? My brother, my cousins, they went to go to Jones Beach to mess with some girls and have some fun on the beach. So me and my boy Rakim, who was producing us, I'm 14 years old at the time. So we go out there to Central Islip, Long Island. We sit with MC Shan, all this other stuff, wanted to sign us and everything. And he was like, yo, where the group at? And they couldn't make it. And he was like, nah, he can't deal with just me. It has to be a group. And if they can't show up for something like this, then I don't want to work with them, because their work ethic ain't right. They don't understand what's important. Mm-hmm. So, but what happened is he didn't want to sign me by myself because he didn't want to deal with a minor. And my grandmother would have to like sign off and all this other stuff. And he just didn't want to deal with that. But I had an opportunity to get a record deal, but that happened. So then I had another opportunity to get a deal, but I turned it down. Because it didn't feel right, bro. Yo, Chris, when I tell you it didn't feel right, the people that was involved, it felt real dark. And I was like, and at an early age, I knew something wasn't right. And there was a lot of money thrown at us. It looked to be a so-called good situation, but it wasn't the right situation. So I turned it down. At 14 years old, I turned it down. And what's so crazy is, if I would have took that deal back then, you wouldn't know me today. Let's just keep it like that. So I'm just thankful that I was able to take my talent from Jackal Flares and the gangster rap and turn it into HipHopGamer and making songs about video games. And there's no cursing, no profanity, changed my whole life, you know what I'm saying? Give my life to the Lord. And now that's how I became the GOAT of the game. By literally following my passion, nurturing it, becoming the best at it. And now here we are. I'm able to be a legend in your presence today. And once again, I love you for it. Let's get it.
So I love that. I mean, even then you had the presence of mind to understand when something wasn't right in your life. And I imagine part of that is your grandmother's voice, like in the back of your head saying something's not right here, right?
Yes, man.
And, there was a different path for you, and one that you were able to go ahead and mix your passion for music and your passion for games. Like we were talking about following that true voice. And like I said before, indie game development felt like, early hip hop that was discovered. Right? So for me, like the Beastie Boys, right? So they felt like after License to Ill, they started to feel like real, innovators in that they just didn't care what people thought of them. Right. So, coming out of earlier days have like Curtis Blow, Grandmaster Flash, The Furious Five, Eric B. and Rakim, right? UTFO, which, by the way, I years ago, I was giving a talk at a conference, and Mark Echo was also giving a talk. And Echo was talking about like growing up, doing graffiti and hip hop and everything. And he name checks UTFO. And so nobody in the audience understood. And I like let out this gasp, Yeah. And after his presentation, I said, I've never been to a presentation where the Untouchable Force organization was name checked. And he's like, how the hell do you know UTFO? And I'm like, because Doc Ice, that's my spirit animal, right? And so it was just hysterical. But, this the thing, like, is that they didn't conform to what people thought they should be or look like, right? They were RIP MCA, just musicians, started out at punk, loved rap, and then didn't try to be anything other than who they were, which is also why in that space, nobody ever has a beef with them because they didn't try to be somebody that they weren't, right?
Yeah,
and so I do
absolutely
love that. And I feel that about the independent game space, right? Which is why it's one of the best times to be in the industry, because the access to tools, to technology, to an audience, to a global distribution network means that you can now tell those stories, right? Where you are in that safe place in an environment that may not be the safest, and you're able to get those stories out to a huge audience. I mean, it's absolutely incredible. And we get to mix all the things that we love together: art, storytelling, music, narration, like the whole thing. And I'm sure, I would assume that's why it spoke to you just as it did to me.
Nah, absolutely. You gotta understand, bro, especially in this day and age, I love seeing the independent developers punch above their weight. They stay punching above their weight with the technology and everything that they got. You know what I'm saying? So I love that. That's first and foremost. And two, I always say this: the independent creators, they're the ones that drive the true innovation that AAAs, because of their budget, is able to take in and take it further to make it something that can become, mainstream. But a lot of this stuff starts from the bottom with the independent developers. That's why you got to show love to the grassroots always. But also, another reason why I got such a tight relationship when it comes to independent game development is because I know what that is from a journalistic standpoint. So I'll give you an example what I mean. When I first came into the industry, let's keep it real, bro. Let's keep it a buck, because we talking about 2008. All right, we in 2025 now, but we talking 2008.
Yep.
When I came into the industry, bro, look at me. Look at how I talk. Like, I came in the industry, I got a big giant belt on. I'm talking my talk from the street, but I know what I'm talking about. But every game developer, every journalist, everybody, when you saw them and then they saw me, obviously they was like, who is this? And why is this person here? Like, immediately. So what happened is, this is when things started to change, right? And you said it too, when it comes to independent game development, but I'm going to show you how that independent game development relates to me as an individual too, in terms of what I do. Every single game developer, AAA, AA, whatever, every time I did interviews with them, they would pull me to the side, be like, yo, that was the best interview that I ever had, or the best interview I had in a long time. Like, the questions you had, like the enthusiasm, like you can't, yo, we need this permanently. And a lot of developers was like, yo, we need HipHopGamer a part of everything that we do, for real. It got to the point to where certain PR firms that get hired to represent certain game companies so they could get journalists to cover their games and stuff like that. Some of the PR firms that would overlook me on purpose because they felt like I didn't have the image, or they didn't like the way I talk, or whatever. The developers would be like, how come HipHopGamer isn't on this list? So a lot of the interviews I was able to get was because the developers was willing to fight for me to have me there and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Yo, I'm telling you, there was a lot of sneaky, snaky stuff that was going on, especially in the early stages, because I was starting to blow up in a big way. And remember, if I'm blowing up and I'm doing certain things, and I'm the only person that do what I do, even still to this day, it also creates a scenario for comparison. So people be like, well, we need HipHopGamer by default, meaning that if you got HipHopGamer, somebody else might not get picked because you got slots and stuff like that. So a lot of people would hate on me because of that. And it bothered me because I'm thinking I'm around family because we all love video games. So I'm thinking that we all here for the same reason. But then you start to run into the situation where certain people just look at this as a job. They get jaded and they just here to get a check, and that's it. And if you are interrupting their bottom line, they're going to try to find ways to, sabotage you or whatever. So those are some of the things that I met with. But at the same time, it's the same independent type of grind. So when you see independent developers doing their thing, support them, because you don't know what they up against. And you don't know, a lot of times, purposely, some people may be trying to sabotage what they're trying to build because they become a threat because of their great creativity and their freedom to be creative. So I relate to it big time, bro, because I've gone through it as an individual. So yeah,
Yeah,
bro.
and look, I mean, it's also because you have a very unique voice, right? Because you not just only approach it from a journalistic perspective and ask very good, in some cases, not biting, but direct questions about how to make the thing better, but you also come at it with a love for the art form, right? And
That's what it is.
Right. And there's a difference between some that enter the space for the commerce versus the community, right? Versus the culture. And so we have to say, okay, look, everybody needs to eat, right? But, building stuff that rips consumers off, it doesn't feel right or denigrates, what the art form is or can be, right? Just to make a quick buck, right? That's where so many of us in the industry would have, friction. Right.
Yeah, exactly. Do you want to eat for the moment or do you want to eat forever?
I agree.
If you want to eat forever, you got to go through, put the work in and go through the proper channels properly. Because look, you could criticize a game, you can say whatever you want, but how you say it and how you deliver it plays a major role. You know what I'm saying? You don't got to be an a-hole to get your point across.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? You can still be respectful. I'm solution oriented. So if I ever say anything to criticize, just know I have a solution with the criticism.
Right.
So I'm not just saying something just to say something. I'm saying something to potentially implement something different. And I give you everything I tell you, bro, I can prove and show. So to give you an example, right? I was telling people, I'm a partner with Plitch, right? Plitch is the modern day game genie, for video games. So to give you an example, right? If you play that game Sifu and a lot of these Souls games, stuff like that, they're very difficult games. So you have a whole audience that would love to play these games, but if they're too hard or too difficult, they'll be like, you know what, I'll come back to it another time, or they'll just stop playing it, or they just won't buy it anymore because it ain't for them, even if they want to play it.
Right.
So I said, infinite health, infinite ammo. We had Contra codes back in the day. Play the way you want to play if you want to progress and play the game. But once you got into that mentality of get good, a lot of people was like, well, this ain't for me. And now you're hurting the industry instead of growing it, because now it makes it feel like it ain't for everybody. So now you see games like Sifu that has the superhuman mode where you don't have to die. You can have invincibility. Right. Or if you look at Alan Wake 2, they just added the same thing where you got infinite ammo and one-shot kills and all the infinite health if you want to, if the game is too difficult, to make it more accessible. Then you can look at games like Starfield, where now you could change, you can have all these different options to change the way the game performs, so you can find your own enjoyment. That's what it is. Freedom to play the way you want to play and have fun the way you want to have fun with the money that you spend.
Right. And look, man, I people are like, well, what do you play? And I say, I play easy mode on just about everything nowadays, because I don't have enough time to spend 40, 50, 60 hours. And I want to hear the story, right? When you were a kid, you had infinite time. So you could constantly go back. I don't have that much time. And I got many things I want to go ahead and play and taste and experience, right? So it is about that accessibility. All right, but I've got about 20 minutes before we're going to open up to Q&A. I still have a lot more to go through. So I'm going to pull you back for a second and say 2007 is really when you created that moniker, emerged as a hip-hop gamer, and you started, creating your own videos on YouTube. You were kind of going for that G4 style, but you were trying to fill a gap that you felt was there. Tell us briefly, what did you feel was missing from the programming at that time? Was it authenticity? What was it?
Yep. I'm gonna tell you straight up what happened, yo. Shout out to Adam Sessler. Love Adam Sessler to this day. That's my brother. You know what I'm saying? I love Adam Sessler.
And by the way, I'm gonna stop you there. So Adam Sessler, he did the very first TV piece for me when I was at Sun Microsystems building all the Java stuff back in 2001, and I still have the recording from X-Play.
Wow.
Was it X-Play at that time? Yeah, I think so. And so, it was, they were showing off my website and talking about the work. So nothing but love for Adam.
Wow, too. That's crazy. Yeah, I love Adam, man. So Adam was one of those people I watched religiously, yo. I used to stay watching and study Adam Sessler. He's incredible. And then there was this one year, I believe it was 2007. And I believe that year, it was the Christmas episode or coming around the Christmas holiday. And he said something, I think it dealt with Zelda, if I'm not mistaken, because it happened so long ago, but it didn't feel real anymore. And that's one thing I look forward to with Adam Sessler. And for whatever reason, it felt like it was corporations talking.
Right.
It felt like it was paid versus him just being him. That's what it started to feel like. And I'm the kind of person where I don't complain, I create. So once I saw that, I was like, oh man, we losing G4. Like that's exactly how I felt. I felt like we losing G4, but YouTube exists now. I could put myself out there. So I decided to start making videos and putting myself out there because I know what I want to hear. And I know the audience is going to feel me because this is what I want to see. So I decided to become that. I decided to become what I want to see. But G4 really sparked a major light for me, you know, becoming HipHopGamer. And watching Kevin Pereira, Morgan Webb, Kevin Rose, you know, all this other stuff. I'm like, they're great. But it got to the point where it's like, it wasn't for me anymore because it didn't feel real. And if it ain't real, it ain't right.
Yeah.
That's how I go. If it ain't real, it ain't right.
Yeah,
and that's when I started doing everything myself. And this is how I knew it was working. Because when I started doing it, mad people started to feel comfortable being themselves. Because I'm going to tell you straight up, Chris, being in front of the camera, going into the gaming industry, a lot of people felt like you have to be a certain way. You got to change your style up in order to fit into the industry. That wasn't going to be me. If I couldn't be me either. I ain't going to do it.
Me either. So, I just don't care. It's like,
I don't care. I don't care.
It's like, you know what? I'm happy with who I am. Exactly. I'm happy with my friends. I know what I'm about. So if that's not for you, have a great day. Go find something else to do. But we got a lot of work left to do. And we got a lot more questions to get through here. So, yeah, I mean, and that was the thing. Once it started to feel very corporate, right? It started to lose some of that authenticity. Unlike in the earlier days, right? Leo Laporte and all of them starting like screensavers and doing all this stuff where, you know, demos they were doing were breaking real time on TV or they were hiccups. But like it felt like you were watching your friends like communicate all this stuff at. And once it started to feel too overproduced, right? And people felt like they're losing their voices. That's when we saw them kind of break away. And Adam had a much bigger voice, you know, on his own, just as you did. But speaking of bigger voices, okay, so you're doing all this stuff. You go to E3, which was, of course, the playground, right? For games back in the day. And then you get on to Hot 97 in New York. So your first interview was with Ebro in the morning, right?
Yeah, I did an interview with Ebro in the morning.
So
we talked about Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, tell us about that journey. Like, how did that translate? How did that go from being interviewed there to becoming an on-air personality on the radio?
Yo, bro, I got a story for you. I'm going to do it as brief as possible, but I got a story for you, dog. So first thing is this. From 2001 to 2016, I worked in the mailroom. Right. So, well, technically 2014 in the mailroom in terms of at the record labels. So Universal, Def Jam, Interscope. I was there when 50 got his deal, Eminem, everybody. Yo, bro, it was insane. I'm working in the mailroom, bro. So I
would have been working there with you. That would have been amazing just to be a fly on the wall to hear it. Yeah.
Crazy. It was my job to know everybody because I controlled the mail. Like it was crazy. So there was I got an email, right, about this video game called Gig It, right? And Gig It was this game that Facebook was doing. So Mark Zuckerberg's sister, Randy Zuckerberg, was doing this big party, red carpet and all of that, and they wanted me to cover the video game, right? So what happened is when I'm, you know, like I said, I'm in the mailroom, there's a gentleman by the name of Davey D, and he works with Universal Republic, major dude. And he would see all the videos I be doing and everything like that. And he was like, yo, bro, I see what you're doing. You do amazing work. You don't belong here no more. Yo, Chris, he literally sat me down in his office and was like, yo, bro, I don't want to see you here no more.
I love it.
Like, you don't belong here no more. You're supposed to be out changing the world. Like, you got to get out of here. So Hot 97 could use somebody like you, bro. And Power 105 is coming. They're about to do a lot of things and be competition. You need to get out of here. He, like, when I tell you, this dude believed in me so much. He loved what I did, and he just wanted me out. He didn't want me in the mail no more. So he said, so when he said the thing about Hot 97, come to find out, when I went to do the red carpet for the video game Gig It, Hot 97 was there at the red carpet, bro.
Okay.
So Ebro, Peter Rosenberg, Laura Stiles, all of them was there walking the red carpet. So I got a chance to do an interview with Peter Rosenberg. Now, this is at the time where he's beefing with Nicki Minaj because he called out Nicki Minaj about a Starship Troopers type of song, and it wasn't really all of that. So they was like, going back and forth. So I did an interview with him. We talked about games. We made mention of the Nicki Minaj thing. It was crazy. But the interview was so good, it was like, yo, we should continue the interview at Hot 97. But I told them, I was like, yo, how come y'all don't have gaming at Hot 97? I already knew why, but I just asked to see what they say. But I like, how come y'all don't have gaming at Hot 97? Because hip hop and video games grew up together.
They did.
They dealt with the same scrutiny in terms of it won't be around that long. It's just a little kids thing and all this other stuff. It's like, how come you don't have this? Hip hop and video games, what I do every day.
Hand in hand,
bro.
Yep.
So then what happened is they was like, why don't we? How you gonna be an entertainment platform and the number one entertainment business in terms of gaming y'all don't have? It makes no sense. So that's when they brought me in for a meeting. And then we had a conversation. And then that's when they brought me on to be a partner with Hot 97. And being a partner for so long has led to me being officially on air. So shout out to Cool Joe. Shout out to my man Sue Kim. Shout out to TT Torres. So many others I could name. But yeah, bro. Not only did I get on air, you can't be on air unless you are a part of SAG. So, right. Bro, I even got my SAG card, bro. I even got my SAG AFTRA card. So I can do, I got national TV commercials that's going to be coming soon. All this stuff, bro, all from video games. I changed the whole game up, bro. You know what I'm saying? You got to understand, bro, a dude like me, bro, nationally syndicated on hundreds of radio stations, first game to be on the New York Stock Exchange, partnered with the New York Stock Exchange, FinTech TV, all these other things, bro, that's never happened before. So I'm a barrier breaker, and there's more barriers being broken. So yeah, let's go.
And look, one of the lessons, that you're giving, right, is one that resonates with me very personally, and for my AWS colleagues here that may not know some of my backstory. When I left Sun Microsystem, I was there for 16 years, and I was the chief gaming officer for the company, and I was also the chief evangelist for the company. I started my career 16 years earlier as the district sales support rep. I made coffee. Wow. I picked up dry cleaning. I made copies of the sales team's presentations. I assembled, the presentations, physically that would have to go out for bid and stuff like that. I was basically caring and tending and feeding to, the salespeople in the office. I'd started programming when I was 9 years old. I'd finished my first game, that I wrote when I was 12, right? So, for me in computers and programming, it was all there, but no one's given a chance to this young kid, right? And then I made my way into sales, and then, like you did, you have to make your own luck. I wrote a business plan about Java and game development that nobody would listen to. For 2.5 years, I kept shopping it in the company while I was then becoming a salesperson and doing all these things. And finally, forget it. I just went right to the CEO of the company, and I sold him on it. And they said, all right, you come on over and be the Java games guy. Now, of course, you've got all the people that kept saying no going, I told you no, and I'm like, yeah, but the big boss said yes, so we're going to go do this thing, right? That led to the creation of things like javagaming.org. It led to things like building the core technology that Minecraft is built on and stuff like that. Had we not pushed for what we believed in and what we were passionate about, right, then we don't get to see us help other people in the world. And sometimes it's just so much easier to say no. Oh, no, this thing is outside of the mold. I don't even know how to fit in here. I may be a bit self-conscious about it, right? So if you have conviction, if you've done the work, if you know the path that you're on, you can find the courage in yourself, the people around you, because as you said, with all the people you thank, nobody gets to do anything important in life by themselves. I do not care who you are. I always said, look, there is no Jobs without Woz, right? If Steve Wozniak did not build the stuff he built, Steve Jobs doesn't get to exist, right? So it's look around you for the people that have good ideas but may not be listened to, right? That just need a chance, right, to do something amazing. and be part of that story, right? Not just your own, be part of those stories. And that is what you were able to do, not only getting on air and doing the stuff that you did there, but then taking that influence you had and moving it into a wider sphere. And that's what we're going to go ahead and jump into right now. I would also be remiss if I didn't say, sitting here talking to you this morning, I remember when we first met. This is like 11 years ago or something.
Yeah.
And we were down in Texas, right? We were down in Texas for that esports competition.
Yep.
And I remember meeting for the first time. We were at the same hotel. So we would I'd drive us back and forth to the conference, and we went out to get something. And I was like, my God, man, this guy is just so passionate about the same stuff. And the way you think about it and the inclusiveness that you bring to games and to music and to culture is just, extraordinary. And that's where you've gotten to lean into this throughout your career. So over the years, you've worked to get yourself in a position where you've interviewed some of the biggest names in Hollywood, right? Like Tom Cruise, Kevin Hart, Samuel L. Jackson, Scarlett Johansson. Okay, mind blown there, right? But I want to talk to you about the work that you started up with Denzel Washington to bring a program that you guys call Playmakers to Denzel Washington School of the Arts. So tell us what Playmakers is and how did you get connected to Mr. Washington?
Wow. So I'm gonna tell you right now, man, Playmakers is everything to me, bro. Everything. Like everything that when we saw me and my grandmother earlier, stuff like that, this is like a love letter for the world. Like if there's anything I could ever give back or do, this is one of those things. You know what I'm saying? So Playmakers was designed to eliminate the digital divide that we see, especially in the hood. And what we want to do is create the future of what school looks like. So that's one of the things that Playmakers is about, but also it's in the name, Playmaker. Like, how can you become a playmaker so that what you do helps everyone around you? That's the key right there. Right. So there's a quote that I created, right? And I own it. I trademarked it and everything. It's called "Character is your currency." So the value is always in who you are. And I want more people to see that you already won. Forget what society says. Character is your currency. Stay wealthy. That's what the theme about Playmakers and everything that I do. So here's how it works, bro. And I'll tell you how I got a hold of Denzel Washington. So with Playmakers, right? The first thing that we do a character is your currency assembly with the whole school. And we have a gaming tournament. And then we have teachable moments that let them understand that you can't win by yourself. And so that's how we open it up. Then we have the top of the line PC gaming laptops delivered to the school, and it's theirs to keep. It's not a loan. It's theirs to keep. So now the kids actually got real hardware to work with, not some little Chromebook stuff, like real stuff that they can work with and really thrive in. That's 2. 3, we do game sessions where they're paid $100 an hour to play games and do reports on the games. They are filmed and everything. And then we turn it into a TV show that you can actually go watch and they can see themselves in a better light and everybody else can watch them and we blow them up. We get millions and millions of views on it. It's crazy.
You realize that if we had when we were kids, we would have been like, that's
oh my gosh.
That would have been it.
Yo, bro, it would have been over. I say that, Chris, I say that to myself all the time. I'll be like, yo, dog, if I was 6'5", because as early as 5 years old, you get paid with my program.
That's amazing.
I would have lost my mind, Chris. All this stuff, yo, bro. But let me finish. Let me continue. Go. So what happened is after we do that, then we have the financial gaming tournament where we have wealth builders from Chase sit down with the parents and the kids to talk about how money works. And then we have a Chase Bank gaming tournament where they get their bank accounts for the first time and they let their money work for them. Amazing. All of that, the whole situation is crazy. And then we just rinse and repeat, and we do this from elementary to middle school to high school to college. Like we got the whole joint laid out. So it's crazy. So that's 1. 2, one of the schools that I'm a partner with, the principal is Dr. Malik Smalls. His wife is the vice principal of Denzel Washington School of the Arts. So she was like, yo, we would love to have this program brought to this school. So then she told me that Denzel Washington, because he's in New York filming a movie with Spike Lee, he's going to be coming to the school. So when he came to the school, I was able to meet him and give him a demonstration and let him know what gaming and everything is all about. He was blown away by it. He had no clue of gaming and what this is going and blah, blah, blah. He was blown away by it. And he was like, well, when can we start? Like when can we have it? So we put everything together, got the paperwork done, and I was able to do a full-blown interview with him in front of the students to initiate the launch of Playmakers coming to Denzel Washington School of the Arts. So now it's there, it's actively going on right now, and it is a humbling experience to have Denzel Washington on board with something that's changing lives right now through the video game industry and experience overall. It's a dream come true.
Yeah, look, and being able to go ahead and have a partner like Denzel, right, to do this with. But what I would say is if it was not you delivering that message, this would not have happened. Like this, it is, again, your passion, your focus on community, your focus on belief in yourself that really sells it through. And what I'll tell you is, you know, leading up to this, I saw the video that you did about a competition school, and you were talking to the young man that won, and you were like, what did you tell me before the competition started? And he said, I'm going to be out in the first round. And you're like, and what happened? He's like, I won. He's like, you won. Like, you can't go into life and these things with that mindset. You walked in thinking you were going to be out first round, and you won the whole thing. And then when you said, and he's going to get paid $100 an hour to test games, his face lit up and you heard all these other kids like, what? You know? And that is, again, nobody gets anywhere in life by themselves, right? It is, you look to community, you look to programs, and you look to people that can inspire you to be bigger, better than you are. And that is what you're doing for these kids. And I could not be happier for you and for the path that you're on and the things that you're doing and the way you're giving back to the community. I mean, it is just, you know, extraordinary. You are an incredible ambassador for games, for music, and, you know, as somebody for, you know, the kids that may not see a way out of where they are to find that path. And that is amazing. And I know we're up on the top of the hour and we got people going to wait for Q&A, but we're going to wrap up with a little bit of the future here, and we're going to jump right into Q&A. So, all right. As an art for all, right, which is what I truly believe, right?
Yes.
I believe we can't call ourselves an art for all unless representation is there, inclusive is there.
Across the board.
100%. Okay? So I just joined the advisory board of the Women's in Games International because I'm like, not only do we need the stories from everybody to be told, but also as the father of women now out in the world, right? We need to make sure that we are providing access to different cultures, to everybody that wants to participate, right? How do you feel, the games industry has changed over the years to be more inclusive or to provide more representation? And what other work do we need to do?
Wow, that's an incredible question. And I got an incredible answer, I believe. So one, it's changed a lot. And I'll give you an example of what I mean of how it changed. A lot more people are feeling more encouraged and becoming more fearless about putting themselves out there so the representation can be seen. So that's one thing right there that I noticed that has changed a lot over the years from like a 2008 to now. Right. It's a lot more people that I'm seeing that normally you would not have seen at all because they wouldn't even felt that they even had a shot. You see what I'm saying? So that lets me know that there's enough groundwork being laid for people to feel that they can actually be a part of this and make it and have the courage to do so and stand on that. So that's one. I'm loving the encouragement that I'm seeing. That's one. Second thing I would say that I think is changing. A lot of people are starting to notice opportunities, like literally life-changing financial opportunities where they could actually do what they love to do and make a living out of it. Because that's the goal. If you could wake up in the morning every day and do what you love to do and be able to make a living off of that, I believe examples like that have been shown has been opening the door for more people to feel encouraged and more confident about their abilities so that they can be able to live that same life as well. So that's the second thing that I would say. The third thing I would say that really, really needs to change is a lot of times when people get into position to find success, they don't want to pull nobody up with them. Too many people is trying to become gatekeepers because they have a fear that what they got, they will lose if they help somebody else. I'm here to tell you, it doesn't work like that.
I agree.
There's enough for everybody. I don't care what you think or what you say. There is enough for everybody.
That's right.
And you will actually receive more the more you give and the more you help. So what my mission right now, and especially in your position, you know, in the Women in Games, make sure you become an extension of the greatness that you start. I'm going to say it again. Make sure you become an extension of the greatness that you start, because you could be great for a moment or you could be great forever.
Yeah.
And the way you be great forever, I'm going to break this down into a metaphor of video games. Yo, Chris, you are someone that's like a safe spot in my life, meaning that when we have an interaction, who you are pours into me, who I am can pour into you. So that means that I might not be physically in a room, but if you're there, I'm there. Because our experience, you carry me with you. And I carry you with me. So if I'm somewhere having a conversation, I can be like, yo, you got to meet Chris. Chris is such and such, such. So even though you physically not in the room, your spirit, who you are, I take that with me as well. So that's being an extension.
Yeah.
As we grow this network of being powerful in the gaming industry. And Chris, continue to lead that charge as well with your position with the Women in Games, man. But that's a difference that I really want to see. Eliminate this sense of need to gatekeep, because there's enough for everybody. And if you feel like you need to gatekeep, then you know good and well you're not as good as you think you are, because you don't got the confidence to help somebody else.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gatekeeping is about fear, not about helping, right? And, you know, and that's the thing is it costs you nothing to be kind. Nothing can only bring you good things, right? So be kind, be open, help other people up. And that's, you know, the sign of good leaders, good community members, and people that just want to do good out there in the world, right?
Yep.
So completely there with you. All right, last question before I wrap up this section, then we jump into some Q&A for our colleagues here, is you've interviewed some of the biggest names in Hollywood and in games as well. Who's somebody in the games industry that you would love to interview or meet that you haven't yet?
Okay, so I've met this person, but I haven't interviewed them yet. And that's Mark Cerny. And I'm telling you right now, I'm trying to find out like how I can get an interview with Mark Cerny. I'm like so adamant on getting an interview with him. I'm gonna tell you the reason why. Mm-hmm. I watched Mark Cerny's career like from the beginning. And one thing that I love about Mark Cerny, he has such a humility about him where he truly, truly cares about the product, because he wants to make sure that everybody can feel what he feels when he gets to sit down and enjoy a game. It is the most simplest thing, yet the most powerful, impactful way to go about the way you want to impact the industry. This is the architect of PlayStation, bro. Like the architect of PlayStation.
Yep.
So many millions of people is playing on this system based on how he framed it. I would love to do an interview with the mind that created all of this enjoyment that we get a chance to experience. So sitting down, talking with him, meeting with him was really, really incredible. But being able to interview him, that's someone that I really, really, really want to talk to. But I'm going to tell you something even better. Outside of Mark Cerny, what I really would love to do, I would love to get, and I think you appreciate this because of the hip hop and gaming connection. Mm-hmm. I would love to get Ed Boon. I've interviewed Ed Boon before, but I would love to get Ed Boon and Uncle Luke together. Okay. I'm going to tell you why. And Chris, I'm not sure if you put two and two together before, but when I break this down, I really believe you'll appreciate it. So Uncle Luke and Ed Boon is the same person in different worlds. I'm going to tell you why. So you remember when they tried to take away Mortal Kombat from Ed Boon. And he had to go to court and everything like that because they felt that gaming is just for kids. It shouldn't be anything else and stuff like that. So he had to fight in court for Mortal Kombat to still be bloody and to still be out there and available for people to play. But the moment he made mention of movies and different things like that, they got this same type of stuff. If you want to take out Mortal Kombat, you're going to have to take out all these other things.
That's right.
They didn't want to do that, though. So what happened is the ESRB gets created.
Right.
And now Mortal Kombat can exist. And if it wasn't for Ed Boon fighting to have that, a lot of the games we got today, we wouldn't be able to have. It wouldn't even be able to be created.
And
now,
it was that and Night Trap, right? Those were the two big ones,
Night Trap,
right?
yes.
That did that there. And, I always say, to reporters when we talk about games as art, I'm like, just like all movies are not The Godfather, not all games are GTA. And then people stop and go, oh, I guess that's true.
It is true. It is true. There's a variety. And then we move over to Uncle Luke. Uncle Luke, right? He had to go to court because, the gangster music or the curses and like that. He had to go to court because they was trying to take away the ability to express yourself in the culture of hip hop, even if you use profanity. So he did the same thing. Well, if you want to take away this, then you got to take away this. You got to take away this. And they didn't want to go that route because now you're going to cut into their bottom line. So that's when the parental advisory sticker was born. And it was allowed to be used on hip hop music. So artists can create the way they want to be created without being censored. So the same way Ed Boon had to fight and the way you mentioned Night Trap is the same way Uncle Luke had to fight. Same situation, different spaces, but hip hop and video games is literally one and the same.
Right. And those stickers also made you want to play those things more. So good job for selling more. Oh my goodness. This has been absolutely awesome.
Amazing.
I mean, I could spend hours with you. You have so much more in your background. Hopefully we'll get an opportunity to do another one of these.
Do a part two of this. Yeah.
Well, listen, I want to thank my guest today, Gerard HipHopGamer Williams. Make sure you check him out on Hot 97 in NYC and at major game industry events. Gerard, I'm so happy that I really got a chance to sit down with you to discuss your story. And really, I'm so happy to see your incredibly hard work, belief in what you wanted to create, and work in the industry having a real impact. And it's been a real privilege to speak with you today. So thank you so much.
Yo, it's an honor, man. Thanks for having me, bro. And all the employees at AWS, just know that Chris can rap. He got bars. I might have to do a song with him one day.
Hey, listen. If we want to get up when I'm back up in New York, if we want to do something on air, let's go get it done. No problem.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you so much.